You're logged in as a designer and you'd like to build a course. You've selected the Course tab, but as you can see, no courses have yet been created. So let's go ahead and create a course by clicking on the Add icon. We'll need to give this course a name. Now, what about the attributes of a course? First of all, do you wish to have teams defined within the course? This would allow you to create team activities. And so we'll change the current setting from no to yes by clicking on it. And then, is this course a graded course? It doesn't have to be, but we will leave it in place as yes. Now, for information purposes, you can specify the intended audience of this course and the appropriate age limit, but for now we'll leave these the way they are. As you can see, there's a problem with this course because we haven't yet added any lessons. So let's go ahead and import a lesson, one that we created earlier in another video. It's the introductory lesson, and we'll click on the import icon. And now a copy of that lesson has been made and added to your course. And this lesson currently runs from the beginning of week 1 until the end of week 1. We can change the setting by clicking on the current setting, but for now we'll leave it where it is, week 1 to week 1. Now let's create a second lesson. We'll need to give it a title. And we'll need to add some instructions. Now there's a problem with this lesson because we haven't added any activities, so let's import a couple of activities. First of all, let's see if there is a task. Yes, there's a musical interlude, so let's add that task. And then what about an assessment? We created an assessment earlier, and so we should see it in our inventory of assessments. Here it is, grammar text, and we'll add this. And now we have our second lesson. Let's go back to look at our course. We can see that the second lesson runs from the beginning of week 2 until the end of week 2. Now we'll add a third lesson. We need to give it a title. And add some instructions. And we'll need to add some activities, so let's have a look whether there is a project that we could upload. Yes, we created a project earlier called Book Report, so let's import that into our lesson. And so now we have 3 lessons in our course. Now, I like to add a lesson that contains general resources, so let's do that. Class resources. And we'll add some instructions. And for example, I like to add in here a discussion that allows private communication with the instructor. So we will call it private correspondence, and we'll add some instructions. And going back to the lesson, we can see that we now have this one activity, no grade associated with it. It's not a graded discussion. And let's have this particular lesson available from the very beginning of the course until the very end of the course. And we can specify make it available to the end by selecting the end option. Notice that the value is underlined. That indicates that it represents the end of the course. Now, if we, for example, made the third lesson a little longer so that it continued until the end of week 4, notice that the value for the class resources has now changed from week 1 until week 4. And of course, the lessons don't have to be in sequence. We can allow the first lesson to continue until the end of week 2, and we can allow the second lesson to begin in week 1. And so the first 2 lessons now are in parallel, and then they're followed by the third lesson, and then the class resources are available for the duration. Now maybe in the classroom you'd like class resources to appear first, so let's change the order that it appears, and now class resources will appear at the top.